In this short video, we are going to see how you can quickly and easily identify if you have any pending changes or sync errors within your installation of Repstor Affinity, now known as Intapp documents, and to identify the cause of those errors and hopefully resolve those errors on your own. So how do we identify if we have any issues? Well, first of all, what you'll find is sometimes if you have an error, you'll get a pop-up like this straight away at the bottom right of your screen, but that disappears after a few seconds. If you want to identify if you have other pending changes or sync errors, there are a set of folders that you can use that appear within your Repstor or Intapp folders. Now do bear in mind, I'm using the terms Repstor and Intapp interchangeably here. Intapp is the newer name for the older Repstor product, but essentially the functionality is the same. So we have here a set of folders which is currently synchronized with SharePoint Online. And what we can see is at the bottom of those folders, you will see there is effectively a set of search folders called local edits, pending changes, sync conflicts, and sync errors. These are useful because these tell you if you have any items of that category. So right now I can see I currently have one sync error as well as one pending change. Now, good practice is to always add these folders to your favorites within Outlook. So right click on it here and select add to favorites. What that will do is it will add it to the top left of your Outlook view and show your pending changes without having to navigate and scroll each time. Do the same thing for your sync conflicts, add to favorites, and also your sync errors. So again, add to favorites. And this is great because it means that you can quickly and easily see the status of your synchronizations at any time without having to scroll down and drill down into search folders, which can be quite hidden by default. Now that we've seen that we have a sync error, how do we identify the item in question and how do we resolve it? Well, it's actually easy enough. What we can do is click on the sync errors folder, and that will tell me which item has actually failed to synchronize, and this yellow banner on the preview window will give you an indication as to why it's failed. Now, typical reasons as to why an item might fail to upload from Outlook into SharePoint are fairly straightforward. Usually it's because you have not got permissions to upload this email into that SharePoint folder. Perhaps you've only got read access. That's the first reason. A second reason might be you filed an email which requires some mandatory metadata in the SharePoint library. And if you haven't provided that mandatory metadata, then again, that will be flagged as a sync error. And a third reason could be that perhaps somebody has renamed the folder in SharePoint while you were filing, and that folder that you're trying to file to no longer exists. So what we can do is select the email in question, and the yellow banner will tell us, give us an indication as to what's actually gone wrong. The other thing that you can do is click on Intapp or Repstor at the top here, and there's an option there to show the error. Okay, and when you click on show error, that will give you more detail as to what's actually happened. Now, what this lets us do is give us an indication as to why I've not been able to file the email. It then lets us take steps to resolve the issue. So if the folder is being renamed in SharePoint, we can rename it back, for example. If you don't have permissions, you can make sure you do get permissions. If the item is missing mandatory metadata, then you can make sure that you have filled in the required metadata using the Intapp interface. Once you have resolved the cause of the underlying issue, what you can then do is retry the sync error. And you can do that very simply by clicking on retry here. And what that will do is go off and begin the process of syncing this document once again. And you can see here right now what's happened is because I've cleared the cause of my synchronization error, my sync errors folder is now clear and my pending changes is now clear as well, indicating that my Outlook plugin, my Outlook cache, is currently completely up to date and everything that I filed has been successfully stored centrally in SharePoint Online. You'll also see in this ribbon within Outlook itself in the Intapp Repstor tab, now where previously I had some red indications indicating that I had some failed items, you can now see that everything is now green, indicating that everything is successfully filed. So using this technique, you can identify quickly and easily any items that have failed to synchronize. Using the yellow preview on the preview window here, or using the show error button that appears here on the ribbon, you can identify the reason that your item has failed to synchronize. And you can then resolve the cause of the error and retry your filing. And that should resolve the vast majority of any sync errors or pending changes, or indeed sync conflicts that you might come across. If you find that there are some pending changes or sync errors within your system that you can't resolve yourself, do contact your IT help desk. One very important thing to do is don't delete your pending changes or sync errors or sync conflicts, because if you delete them, you're effectively deleting the email that caused the error in the first place, which means you're essentially losing that data. So always avoid deletion, and always try to make sure that you're resolving your sync errors. And where you should always strive to be is having your pending changes, sync errors, sync conflicts folders added as favorites, and always with no numbers shown against them. And that's your visual confirmation that everything is filed successfully. One final thing to mention here is if you do use the Intapp interface to file multiple emails, for example, if I were to select multiple emails and perhaps quick file these into the system, so maybe I'll put them into my internal documents folder here for a moment, click on copy. What you'll find is as they're being uploaded, you've currently got 6 pending changes. What will happen is that number will gradually decrease down, as you can see here, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's confirming that your emails have been uploaded successfully into SharePoint, and the fact that there are no sync errors is your visual confirmation that everything's uploaded successfully and there have been no errors. And now we're back to where we ideally should always be, having your pending changes, sync conflicts and sync errors sitting at 0.